He walks down the tunnel toward the blinding lights of the pitch. He has done this 100 times before, but today the walk feels entirely different. Outside, the stadium is a massive spectacle. The roar of tens of thousands of fans echoes through the stands, creating an atmosphere of sheer electricity. Yet, as he steps onto the grass, his mind is fractured. One half is locked onto the intense competition ahead. The other half is already mourning the end of his career. The upcoming 90 minutes are a boundary line. On this side of the whistle, he remains the player he has been his entire adult life. On the other side is a sudden plunge into the unknown. Days earlier, the national training camp operates with a deceptive sense of normalcy. But for a veteran approaching retirement, a deep psychological shift takes over. They begin carrying a private grief, burdened by the realization that every routine movement is happening for the final time. The match itself is a blur. The chaotic final minutes are defined by high-speed sprints, desperate tackles, and absolute physical exhaustion. A select few manage to cap this chaos at the ultimate summit. They end their international careers surrounded by confetti, leaving the pitch with a medal around their neck. Most walk off under a much harsher reality. They face a brutal elimination, where the referee's whistle dictates a quiet, devastating end to a lifelong pursuit. To the crowd in the stands, that whistle signals the conclusion of an evening's entertainment. To the man standing on the grass, it is the first moment he is no longer a World Cup player. The gravity of the situation rarely registers on the field. Instead, a deep emotional numbness settles over them during the locker room pack-up and the quiet hours alone in the hotel. The adrenaline finally bleeds out completely on the isolated flight back home, where the silence of the cabin reflects the sudden absence of the tournament's noise. This process of detachment culminates weeks later. The next national squad roster is published, and for the first time in a decade, their name is simply gone from the list. That missing entry on a piece of paper serves as the final, irreversible confirmation. The identity they spent a lifetime building has been officially replaced by a new, uncertain status. This breaks down an active professional's rigid schedule. Their existence is meticulously engineered into tight, color-coded blocks. Wake up, train, recover, compete, repeat. Then these mandatory obligations abruptly vanish. The player is handed unguided freedom. An empty calendar replaces the structure they relied on. To fill the vacuum, many reclaim the rhythm of the pitch by trading boots for a tactical board, stepping onto the sidelines as a coach. Others pivot to broadcasting, moving behind a desk to break down the tactics and maintain their proximity to the sport's relevance. Those who fail to find a new structure face a darker reality. They struggle against intense loneliness, completely unmoored without the high-stakes environment of elite competition. Navigating this absence of structure requires building a completely new persona, transforming a former athlete into someone who can exist without the stadium's roar. This profound emotional toll explains why football history is filled with legends who bid tearful farewells to the pitch, only to quietly walk those statements back a few years later. The World Cup exerts a supreme magnetic pull. It eclipses the appeal of domestic club football and the promise of lucrative financial incentives. Driven by an agonizing need to return, these players subject their aging bodies to grueling qualification campaigns, fighting for a chance at one last summer tournament. These highly scrutinized comebacks yield wildly unpredictable results. Some engineer brilliant, triumphant hummings. Others watch their physical endurance fail them under the global spotlight. Regardless of the outcome, the attempts reveal a stubborn truth. The psychological core of a national team player is nearly impossible to willingly abandon. Eventually, the stadium lights dim permanently. The physical artifacts of a career are gathered, boxed, and quietly folded away. In the quiet of retirement, The trophies, massive paychecks, and media headlines often fade into the background of a player's memory. Instead, the mind lingers on the specifics of the brotherhood: the shared bus rides, the locker room humor, and the roar of the anthem before a match. What remains is the profound emotional weight and pride earned from carrying the hopes of an entire nation. Because walking away from the World Cup requires a player to surrender a piece of their soul forever.